Hello, I'm Mukala Kabongo, and on this edition of the LCTV News, Department of Elementary and Secondary extends mask mandate, Pleasant Street to receive public safety upgrade, Hispanic Heritage Month celebration, and more. On the Lynn Lowdown, we talked Lynn Parents Food Petition. Here's this week's LCTV News for Friday, October 29th, 2021.
This episode of the LCTV News is brought to you by Columbia Insurance Agency, serving the Lynn community for over 60 years with home, auto, and business insurance.
The Department of Elementary and Secondary Education announced the mask requirements will extend until January 15, 2022. This comes after consulting with medical experts and state health officials. The mask requirements are as follows. Public school students ages 5 and older in all grades and staff are required to wear masks indoors in school, except when eating, drinking, or during mask breaks, I should say. All visitors are also expected to wear a mask in school buildings regardless of vaccination status. Masks are not required outdoors. Students younger than 5 years and are highly recommended to wear. Students and staff who cannot wear a mask for medical reasons and students who cannot wear a mask for behavioral reasons are exempt from this requirement. The department will continue to evaluate and consider other criteria that could be used in the future to help lift the mask requirement based on public health data. On Tuesday's City Council meeting, the Council unanimously voted to approve a motion to improve the crosswalks and road safeties on Pleasant Street. The estimate cost of improvements is approximately $220,000. Police Chief Christopher Reddy gave a presentation to the council on what Lynn Police Traffic Unit observed during their survey of the traffic on Pleasant Street. Chief Reddy said that they did not identify any significant speeding, but they did notice drivers being distracted and having visibility issues because of parked vehicles near the crosswalk. Chief Reddy also says they believe drivers are not able to see pedestrians or seniors in wheelchairs crossing. Lynn Police suggests that they add 5 feet of no parking space on each side of the crosswalk. To watch the full City Council meeting, visit lyntv.org. This coming Thursday, November 4th, the city's mobile vaccination program will come to an end. Lynn Community Health Center made the announcement earlier this week. One reason for this decision was due to the increase in access to the vaccine throughout the city, with residents now having the ability to get the vaccine through local pharmacies, public school-based health centers, and primary care providers. The center felt comfortable in shifting their resources for vaccination efforts. The program, which launched in April of 2020, was focused on testing for COVID-19 for the first 8 months until the development and approval of the vaccine. Since the vaccination unit began in December of 2020, the mobile team attended more than 200 community events, provided more than 2,800 vaccines, and spent over 1,000 hours on educating the public on the COVID-19 vaccine. Lynn Community Health Center also performed approximately 80,000 COVID tests, including 10,000 through mobile operations. Cops for Kids, a nonprofit organization, has donated $5,000 to a Lynn family. The donation is to help the family of a two-year-old who was diagnosed with cancer. On August 24th, the family of Dacian Brown was notified of their son being diagnosed with stage M neuroblastoma. Boston's Children's Hospital contacted Cops for Kids on behalf of Dacian's family. and explained the situation. Cops for Kids made the donation at Lynn Police Station last Friday with the police motorcade for the family. Lynn Police Department has been involved with Cops for Kids with Cancer since this organization got off ground. On Wednesday, LCTV held its fourth candidate forum featuring mayoral candidates Darren Sear and Jared Nicholson. Here's more from the forum. Last week, the MBTA, the steps were condemned over there, the commuter rail. So the question is, we know the mayor's office doesn't have direct authority over the MBTA, but we have received numerous questions from the community about public transportation issues. Also, the issue that happened over there at the Lynn Garage. So our question to you then is, how will you advocate for improved public transportation and improved MBTA facilities in Lynn? And we will start with you, Jared.
Great. Thank you for the question. Obviously what happened at the MBTA parking garage is totally unacceptable. It's dangerous and it's an eyesore, and it's incredibly frustrating that a really gateway to the city, what could be the heart of the downtown, is in the condition that it's in. I think that, like you said, the mayor doesn't directly control public transportation in the city of Lynn, but absolutely is going to be key to bringing the city where we want it to go in terms of making good jobs and good housing accessible, easily accessible to everybody, improving public transportation. So that's fixing the MBTA parking garage, absolutely. It's also improving bus service to make it easier to get where people need to go who are taking the bus. It's electrifying the commuter rail. I think that in the long run, that would be awesome if we could find a way to get the blue line here, and I support that and will advocate for it. But in the medium term, electrifying the commuter rail offers the potential to have something approaching rapid transit that's quicker, cleaner, more efficient, more frequent, and something that I would fully support. And the premise of the question is what would we be doing? And I think building coalitions, working with our state and federal partners. The electrification of the commuter rail benefits Lynn, but it benefits the entire environmental justice corridor if it's doing the Newburyport Rockport line. So that's other communities as well. And so working collaboratively with those other communities to make the case for the regional need is going to be really important for us to make progress on this.
All right, thank you for that.
I found an alternative.
That's great, the digital age, we have digital bell.
Technology, I tell you. Darren, you're next.
Thank you. So the condition of that building is really unacceptable. And part of the problem is there's not enough people that want to use it. So the MBTA really doesn't want to invest any more money in there. So with the development that's been taking place in the downtown area, the amount of people that are going to probably be needing that train station, it's going to get the MBTA to take a look at it. They're already talking about investing $35 million into that building, into the parking garage, as well as the platform. And as mayor, I think the city should take over the control of that building and the responsibility of it and maintain it, secure it, make sure that people will go to a safe, clean platform to be able to take the train into Boston. Mm-hmm. People would rather go to the platform in Swampscott or in Salem. And the tens of millions of dollars that's been invested over in Salem is because of the development that happens over there, mm-hmm. and the amount of people that need to use it. So you could do the exact same thing here in Lynn. I think that we should have a better relationship with the governor. I mean, and God bless our state legislators. But Tommy was chairman of transportation for years, became the mayor of Lynn. He should have been going back to his colleagues, the connections that he had made, and trying to get something done there.
To watch the full forum, visit lyntv.org. Also earlier this week, LCTV held the school committee forum prior to Tuesday's election. Here's more. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another candidate forum. Tonight, we have candidates running for school committee And we got a doozy for everyone here. I would just also like to mention that there are 6 seats for the school committee, and there will be guaranteed 3 new members of the school committee after this year's election. So it's quite important, this race, for everyone to vote, because we will have some new members on the committee. I am your host, Mukala Kabongo, just welcoming you all here. And before we get started, we just would like to go over some ground rules with everyone. So each candidate has 90 seconds to respond to a question. So when there's 30 seconds, everyone will see this yellow. When you see the yellow sign, you'll see that you have 30 seconds. And when you see the red the first time, that means you have 10. And the second time the red goes up, that means your time is up. So we ask you to please stay on par with the 90 seconds for the response. And then at the end, each candidate will have exactly 2 minutes for a closing statement. And once again, I will put up this when there's 30 seconds, and then the red when it's time to wrap up your 2-minute responses. So with that, I know you're all eager to answer these questions that we have lined up for you. And there's some community questions as well from that we received from the community. So this will be a great night, and I hope everyone is prepared. So we shall get started.
Yeah. Thank you for that question.
Gracias por esa pregunta.
I remember in elementary school,
Yo me recuerdo en la escuela
I enjoy
elementaria.
after school program,
Me encantaban los programas de
Junior high
escuela.
school.
En junior high,
high school.
en high school.
I remember book clubs,
Recuerdo los clubes de libros,
journalism club,
los clubes de periodismo,
chess club,
los clubes de ajedrez,
math club.
matemática.
I don't know if this exists anymore.
No sé si esto existe
something
ya.
called the academic Olympic.
Tenían las olimpiadas académicas.
So I remember I
So
have
yo
a
me
sense
recuerdo,
of joy
tenía una
and
sensación de
interest.
felicidad e interés,
and also confident
y también
from
confianza
different clubs.
De diferentes clubes.
Yeah, so I think this is a very wonderful question.
Creo que es una muy buena pregunta.
And as a school committee member,
Y como
I
como miembro del
will
comité escolar,
try to be creative,
definitivamente trataré de ser creativo
try to encourage the community
y tratar de incentivar a la comunidad
to come together
a que
and
se una
find out how we can serve our
y
children.
ayudar a ver cómo podemos a ayudar a nuestros
I know
niños.
the children now are very different
Sé
than
que los
when I was
niños de
growing
ahora
up.
son muy diferentes a cuando yo estaba
So
creciendo.
they are lost in their social media world.
Están perdidos en su mundo de
They lack a
media
lot
social.
of human interaction skill.
Tienen demasiada destreza, han perdido mucha
But we
destreza de
must work
interacción.
all the harder to get
Pero
them.
tenemos que luchar un poco
into
más,
this 3D
más
world.
fuerte para poder entrarlo a ellos al mundo
And I believe in
tridimensional.
generosity out
Y
of
creo en generosidad.
To watch the full forum and all other forums, be sure to visit lyntv.org. On Tuesday, the Lynn Public Schools held their annual Hispanic Heritage Month celebration at Breed Middle School, and LCTV was in attendance.
Thank you all for being here today. At this time, I would like to welcome Evelyn Arabalaga, who will be giving us the history of Hispanic Heritage Month.
Hispanic Heritage Month history. Each year, Americans observe National Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15 to October 15 by celebrating the histories, cultures, and contributions of American citizens whose ancestors came from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central and South America. The observation started in 1968 as Hispanic Heritage Week went under President Lyndon Johnson and was expanded by President Ronald Reagan in 1988 to cover a 30-day period starting on September 15 and ending on October 15. It was enacted into law on August 17, 1988 on the approval of Public Law 100-402.
And now time for the sports update. Lynn Classical Boys Soccer Program failed to make the state tournament after a tough 2-1 loss to Somerville. Elzon Halimi scored the lone goal for the Rams, who finished the season with a record of 7-9-2. The St. Mary Spartans boys soccer team ended the season with a 2-2 draw with Archbishop Williams on Monday. The Spartans were able to get 2 goals in the final minutes to even things up. The first goal came from senior Ryan Freher, and the game-tying goal came from Richard LeBron with 5 seconds remaining in regulation. The Spartans finished the regular season with a 8-7-3 record. KIPP Academy boys soccer program is set to make its first state tournament appearance in school history after knocking off Methuen 1-0 Wednesday afternoon. Marco Escobar scored the lone goal for KIPP. The Panthers finished the regular season with a 13-4-0 record. Lynn Tech Lady Tigers picked up a big win Thursday as they defeated Minuteman 2-1. Helen Poyjoy scored both goals for the Tigers as they improved to 5-12 on the season. Tech wraps up their season tomorrow against KIPP Academy. The Tigers boys soccer team wrapped up their season with a 4-0 shutout of Neshoba on Thursday. Before the game, Tech honored 7 of their seniors during their senior day ceremony. The Tigers finished their season with a record of 12-3-1 and await seeding for the state tournament. Lynn English got their second straight victory after shutting out Malden 32-0 last Friday. Running back Wesley Chandler had a big day on the ground. The senior rushed for 183 yards on 24 carries to go along with 2 touchdowns. Quarterback Jesse Maggs also added 2 touchdowns as he connected with Josh McDonald and Shea Palmer. Maggs also threw for 165 yards. The Bulldogs are back in action tomorrow when they host Somerville. St. Mary's football team suffered their first loss of the season last Friday in their 22-20 double overtime matchup with Cardinal Spellman. Quarterback Ali Berry led the Spartans' offensive attack as he ran for 2 touchdowns and threw for another. After going up 14-7, the Spartans' defense was not able to close out the game as Cardinal Spellman tied the game on a Jack Duffy 50-yard touchdown run. Both teams failed to score on their opening drives in overtime. It would be the Spartans who would strike first in the double overtime when Barry found Nick Sacco on a 27-yard touchdown reception. The Spartans would fail the 2-point conversion. Jack Duffy would score his 3rd touchdown of the game for the Cardinals and punch in the 2-point conversion to give Cardinal Spellman the 2-point victory and their first win of the season. The Spartans will look to bounce back tonight in their season finale matchup with Archbishop Williams. It was a rough outing for Lynn Classical last Friday against Milton. The Rams' offense managed 8 points in their 47-8 loss to the Wildcats. Milton quarterback Chase Vaughn totaled 5 touchdowns as he threw for 3 and ran for 2. In the first, after the Rams' offense went 3 and out, the Wildcats struck first on a screen pass to Luke Salmon, who would take it 63 yards to the house. The Rams would fumble the ensuing kickoff, and the Wildcats would capitalize with a 7-yard touchdown run by Amari Marsman. The Rams would throw an interception on their next possession, and once again, the Wildcats would score on a Chase Vaughn touchdown run. The Rams will look to bounce back tonight against Revere. KIPP Academy moved to 6-1 on the season after their 44-14 victory over Minuteman. Quarterback Juan Settlesing continued his great season as he added 4 more touchdown passes. In the first, after the Panthers' defense forced a fumble, Settlesing would connect with JTN Im on a touchdown pass. After forcing a 3-and-out, Settlesing would connect with Jovan Machado to make it 14-0 Panthers. The Panthers would put up 36 first-half points before pulling their starters in the second half. The Panthers will close out their regular season with a trip to Roxbury Prep today. Lynn Tech suffered a tough loss last Friday as they fell to Neshoba 22-16. Quarterback Tyler David and running back Dominique Giordano each scored in this one. The Tigers will look to get back in the win column tomorrow when they host Minuteman. Boston College dropped its third game in a row after losing to Louisville 28-14 last Saturday. After striking first with an 8-play drive that was capped off with an Alex Sinkfield touchdown run to make it 7-0 Eagles, the Cardinals would respond with a touchdown drive of their own. Malik Cunningham would cap off a 7-play drive with a 10-yard touchdown run to tie things up at 7 apiece. Cunningham would not be done. In the second, his 1-yard touchdown put the Cardinals up 14-7. Louisville will get another touchdown right before the half when Jalen Mitchell scampered into the end zone on a 5-yard touchdown run to make it 21-7. The Eagles will cut it to 21-14 when Dennis Grossaw connected with Jalen Gill, but it was too much Malik Cunningham in this one as the quarterback ran in another touchdown late in the fourth quarter to put the game away. The Eagles will look to get their first conference win tomorrow when they travel to Syracuse. It was an offensive explosion for the Patriots Sunday against the Jets as the Pats put up 50 points to snap a 2-game skid. The Pats offense used some trickeration when Kendrick Bourne found Nelson Aguilar for the touchdown on the Pats' first offensive possession. The Pats offense would strike again after the defense got a stop. Damian Harris's touchdown run made it 14-0. The offense continued to be aggressive as they used a 12-play drive that was capped off with the Brandon Bolden 15-yard touchdown reception. The Pats would score once again right before the half on an 11-play drive that ended with a Hunter Henry touchdown. The Pats head west as they visit the high-powered San Diego Chargers on Sunday. The Boston Celtics are still searching for their first win at home after falling to the Wizards 116-107 Wednesday. Montrezl Harrell and Spencer Dinwiddie were too much to handle for the Green Team as they combined for 47 points. After the Celtics cut the lead to 3, the Wizards used an 8-0 run late in the fourth quarter to pull away from the C's. Jason Tatum led the way for the Celtics with his 23 points. The two teams will face off again tomorrow night in Washington. On this week's Lynn Lowdown, we spoke with Sophia Seang, Melody Finnegan, Rosa Bingham, and Lisa Guanci Adie. Here's this week's Lynn Lowdown. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Lynn Lowdown, and we have some very special guests with us today, concerned parents. They are here to talk about the petition that they have for healthy food in the Lynn Public Schools. Hello, ladies.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you all for taking the time off while you're on break at work and ready to come chat with us about this important issue. So, September 30th was the date. Am I correct? September 30th or somewhere around there?
17th, I think.
The 17th.
17th.
Yes.
Sometime in September, some stuff happened. Kids got sick. Food wasn't good. So, tell me when you guys all got wind of all that. When you all got wind of that.
Well, it started with me. I am a parent at Avon Elementary School. I have 3 kids, and one of my child was served a spoiled rotten turkey sandwich, and that was on September 17th on a Friday. When I brought this concern to a person with authority, I felt like my voice was completely dismissed. I was not being heard. So literally within a few hours, we gather a bunch of moms together, and we wrote up a petition. Rosa came by, and Nicole as well. Like, everybody was putting all our brains together. And the petition is really literally just about healthy, fresh meals for the kids, because as you know, the 18 elementary school, there's 18 elementary and there's no kitchen at all. So these kids are being served food that's days old. So we're looking for, think outside the box and come with a solution. So, we don't want expired or old food. And, these kids who actually have depend on this meal. This is probably the only meal that they have. We have a lot of food insecurity in Lynn. So this is a really, really serious issue, and that needs to be addressed immediately. And, we have to take some kind of actions, because you know what? I'm not the first one. There's a lot of parents out there. I'm not the second one, or I'm not the third one either. This has been an ongoing issue. As you dig deeper and deeper, we're gonna have to peel layers, one layer at a time. That last Madre stopped the situation, this specific concern brought up to people with authority, to Kevin McHugh, to Kevin Richardson, to our mayor, to our superintendent during that time. And that was happening 2018, 3 years ago. And guess what? It got buried. It's an ongoing issue, and we cannot bury this anymore. Everybody has to be working as a community and come together and come up with a solution. We bring you a problem, it's your job to fix it. And we have demands, we have immediate demands for you, we have a long-term solution, and hopefully, we'll come together and come up with that solution together.
Yeah, now there have been steps taken. When you all found out about this, what did your kids get in? Did your kids get sick from this? Or?
So I can speak. Basically, one of my children goes to A1 as well, and Sophia came to me. We are friends, and we discussed it. And I said, this has been going on longer than even just right now. And I said, during the pandemic, they were offering free boxes of food. So we would receive this food from Revolution Foods, all boxed up. And probably 95% of it was unfortunately thrown into the garbage. A massive amounts of food waste is happening with the food that is given from Revolution Foods. So my children, I would reheat the food. We tried it. My own children would just tell me, Mom, this is not, I can't eat it. And please try it. And so I actually did. And I can vouch that it's not edible. It does not taste like food. A lot of times the cheese was sour, the milk was curdled, even a hot dog, as basic as a hot dog, was just gritty and off and just not right, sogged and stuck to the bread, and just not edible at all, unfortunately. So this has been going on even during the pandemic, where we were getting this boxed food, picking those up. And I actually stopped doing that because I'm not a wasteful person, and it really just hurt me to do that. So I stopped getting the boxed food, but a lot of times parents were getting mold on their cheese, moldy pasta bits and things during that period. And unfortunately, we don't have, at the time, parents didn't really take a lot of pictures of their food. We didn't, but I think it was also during that time frame that happened.
Is one of the biggest issues that you all have is with the vendor?
That's the biggest issue. We believe that the food is coming molded, spoiled from the vendor, and it's just getting missed sometimes by the school staff, and it's getting put on the table. We don't want that food ever to be on that table. We feel like the vendor is the one who is sending this stuff to us. We've got several articles of KIP just last week, Friday, sent out a letter saying that they found moldy food and they went directly to the vendor, and they're taking action quickly. We've got articles of Suffolk University, that was last week. They're going to this vendor with rotten food again. We've got articles, New Jersey, they just fired this vendor for rotten food. So this isn't something that's out of the box. It's not something that we're making up. This vendor has been over and over in court and fired and addressed because of moldy food or spoiled food. So we just want our school committee, Lynn, to take action the way these other schools are on top of it, taking action. These are elementary school kids. They don't know better. They're going to eat the food we serve them. And I got involved actually because my child goes to a different school, and he hasn't eaten the food since before the pandemic. He told me how awful it was, that it was old and moldy and stale. So I've been making his lunch, but he came home one day right around September 17th, and he said, Mom, there was bird poop on my friend's food. And I'm looking at him like, bird poop? And I'm thinking, well, he's elementary. That was mold. And the kid ate it. So it's like, it just, right there, I was like, that's it. I can't, these are babies. They're 6 years old and up. We have to speak up for them. We have to stop this, like, today.
Rosa, working in the health field, I know there's protocols that you guys take in serving food wherever you work. How disappointing is it to hear stuff like this and not not hearing the proper protocols were taken?
For me, being a nurse and me being and working with, I work with an elderly population, and it's the same thing where I work in an adult daycare, so our protocol is when the food comes in, we have to check food temperatures to make sure that the food is at the right temperature. And then we have, we put them in, not a warmer, in the oven to keep that food, to keep it at a right temperature. Because what we find is that when food is not in the right temperature, or let's say that the food is coming frozen and now it's going through the thawing process, you can develop mold between that process, because just because food is frozen and it's being thawed out doesn't mean that you just put it in a warmer and be done with it. No, it needs to be cooked to prevent it from being moldy. You know what I mean? And it's upsetting, to see all these parents in the pictures of the food, because as we all know, nutrition is a very important part of growth and development. Not only growth and development, it helps kids with concentration. Because if you have a child that's in elementary school, middle school, even high school, you know what I mean, and they're not eating appropriately, what do you think that they're thinking of all day? They're thinking of what? I'm hungry, I can't think, and they're not focusing in on the teachers. And then it also goes back to how many kids have been out due to GI symptoms. Is it because they were eating the food? Like she says, if that kid did eat that moldy food, he's gonna wake up sick. Now he's gonna miss 2 days of school. You know what I mean? And what we're trying to do is, we don't want to be we don't want people to feel like we're attacking people, because we're not. It's not about the attack. Like they said, we have to advocate for our kids, because our kids cannot do so. You know what I mean? And that's something that needs to be checked. What is Resolution Foods doing to fix the problem? And that's their concern too. If you keep finding different people complaining about the same thing, you have to think, okay, now it's maybe not them, there's something to fix. And we just feel like they keep saying that they're going to fix, and we keep running into the same problem. And when I looked up in their website, you know what I'm saying, what I see pictures of is them putting it in just regular boxes, not ice. And also, when we were doing, at my job, when we were doing meals to the patients, we were putting them in isolation bags to keep the food warm, to keep the milk fresh, because also you have to remember with dairy, if that dairy's been out for more than 2 hours, it shouldn't be served, because as you know, milk starts losing its elasticity and it can get moldy just by being out for at a wrong temperature. So what we want to see is improvements. And I feel like if there is food, because food, I feel like is a problem, not mostly everywhere, but if we can come together as a community, all of us come to a community and be like, okay, we need to fix this problem, and what are we going to do to fix it? Because like Sophia said, we're not the first group. There was another group that had been doing this, and like she said, got shut down. And it's like we just want our voices to be heard. We don't want to keep hearing, oh, shh, we're going to do it and fix it on the side. No, we want to know what they're going to do to help us improve the food for our children's sake.
Yeah, and I know during last night's school committee forum, Donna Coppola talked about if this vendor is not, they might have to go look into putting out another request for proposal for a new vendor because of the issues with this vendor. That's something that the school committee is looking at. And also, I know Michael Satterwhite yesterday, he went around the schools trying to get in taste of the foods. Were any of you all involved with that, or did you hear feedback from him about his experience?
We did hear feedback, and I saw the pictures, and I thought it was great that he went out and he did do this. Although the food that he got that day was not the same food that my child got that day. He was boasting about, a chicken breast and pizza, and my son got a drumstick with rice. So it wasn't it wasn't the same all throughout the schools. So every school seems to be different. You catch a good day. I'm not saying every single meal that Revolution gives us is a bad meal. But there are bad meals, and there should be none. So that was the problem.
Talking about the Michael and his thing, we saw 2 different types of pizzas. What the elementary kids were served, and what was it, middle school?
It was middle school, yeah.
Middle school was the thing, and I mean, it was completely different. My vision of pizza is warm sauce, melted cheese on you know what I mean? But yeah, I get it. The kids, the kids love to make their own pizza. It's kind of like a Lunchable, whatever. But if you see the difference in the food, which one would you eat? You would eat this one and leave this one, because my son is obsessed with pizza. Yeah. He'll eat any type of pizza, but he won't eat that one. Why?
Mine won't either.
Why? Because it's cold. Pizza is a food that's supposed to be hot.
And I think this comes down to, again, so the middle schools have kitchens, the high schools have kitchens. So they're able to have a dough, have some warm, sauce and some mozzarella cheese that might get melty and all that. But the elementary schools are not given that. They have the pre-made, pre-packaged foods. The pizza kit is actually one of their, from what I understand, one of the more popular items that the kids actually enjoy. But going back to the whole, Michael Satterwhite going to the schools, we actually reached out to the school committee members, the superintendent, the mayor, even all the powers would be, to please go sit down at the elementary schools, go sit, have the actual meal that the children are served that day, so that they can get a really good grasp of what is served. We're having a presentation on 11/3. Revolution Foods is coming because of this concern to do a presentation. One is supposed to be about the nutritional guidelines that the USDA has given and we have to follow, which most of parents understand all of that. And the other is they're going to actually be presenting some food. So we wanted the people who make decisions for our city to actually get a really good idea and go out and sit and have a real lunch instead of a presentation.
Yeah, the other issue with this was about, if everyone watched the school committee forum last night, this was also an issue that was brought up, is the elementary schools have no kitchen, and these buildings are old. And so that brings another issue for that aspect. Go ahead, Sophia.
So if they don't have kitchens, right? What is another alternative that we can do for them not to, you know what I mean? And I don't remember who brought this up, but someone says that, maybe it was Nicole. She said we should be using Lynn, because if Resolution's all the way in Woburn, why are we not using our own community to help rate? It's a win-win for everyone if you think about it. And then the restaurant, I don't know how it would work, because like I said, the kitchen is the problem. But there has to be another way, there has to be a way that we can bring the food, have it be good, and remain at a temperature until it's served. You understand? And then it goes back to how is Resolution food? How is the process? Okay, is the food frozen when you start packing it in, you know what I mean, and bringing it to us? According to the website, it's not frozen, but I believe that sometimes it does come frozen. Right?
Absolutely. I mean, I am a lunch.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
So that I can come in here, So when we attend the school committee meeting, which has been twice, we're going to be going on Thursday, it's going to be another school committee meeting. But both times, superintendent as well as Kevin McHugh mentioned that food is served fresh the next day. Let me tell you this. Food is not served fresh the next day. So if kids are eating food on Monday, actually that food was made at Revolution, wherever that is, will be delivered to Aborn. I'm picking Aborn because that's where I work, on Friday. Now, if that's supposed to be pizza and it's frozen, you know what that means? We don't have freezer. It's going to be put in the environment where it's refrigerator. And sitting right there, we're talking about 5 days, 4 nights, that food has been sitting and thawing, and then will be cooked on Monday. So there's a lot of possibility that mold will grow. So to answer your questions, why the 18 elementary school does not have they don't have any kitchen. One of the solutions, like I said, like Rosa said, that we can utilize like Lynn Tech. They have culinary school, so the kids can be doing that. On top of this this is like a long-term goal, like maybe 4 or even 5 community kitchens. We can actually, like commercial kitchens, so that we can be used for school meal production and sublet after hours to local entrepreneurs, because there's new entrepreneurs who just started, they don't have kitchen, so we can lease that out. So now we're creating jobs. It's like we're killing 2 birds with one stone.
Is this going to be part of the presentation that you'll be presenting to the school committee, which you're talking about, or have you already made made these suggestions to them before.
Discussion, the idea of, how do we get fresh food to the children? And the idea of the kitchens has been brought up. Other ideas were brought up, like, okay, maybe we can use our middle school, kitchens. They're used that day for those children that are in those schools. So, it was brought up like, oh, well, maybe they can use them after that and then deliver the meals. So lots of ideas are formed. I mean, we're just moms where, people just kind of in the community, they're saying this isn't right. We're not here to say like, this is 1, 2, 3, this is how you should absolutely do it. We're coming to you, we're saying there's a problem. Let's get all the good minds together and let's fix it.
And please, once again, tell us the November 3rd, that'll be next Wednesday.
At 5 o'clock.
At 5 o'clock. At Breed, is it? At Breed.
So the Breed cafeteria.
Well, this is open to the public?
Yes.
Open to the public, and the more people we have there, the bigger our voice is. So what we really need is for people to show up and show our city that we need to get rid of this vendor now.
And also the petition, sorry to cut you off, the petition that you all have is on your Facebook page, is correct? The petition, we have the petition here, I can't see it, but they have the petition. If for those parents that want to see it, they could go to the Facebook page, correct?
Yes, we have the paper petition. We have literally in my hands about 500 signature here. It's already on here, and online we have over 500 signatures already. Yes, you can find us right on Facebook. But to go back to what our mission is all about, is really what we want is meals prepared and served same day, because our kids deserve that freshness. So like our immediate action, and all my ladies agree with us, we need a new vendor. We don't want spoiled food, we don't want moldy food, rotten food, and any edible food, because our kids deserve better. And the second thing that we want is that immediate action is quality assurance. We need to know, like, this is go right into the Lynn Public School, right into the vendor, whether that new vendor we can be hiring. We need to know the delivery, the temperature, the storage protocol for all the school lunches. We need to know the frequency, the dates, the nutrition, and access for the parents, so that it's ultimately it's about the kids. It's not about us being happy. If they're happy, we're happy. So we have to speak together as a community. We come together, It doesn't matter who you are, but we have kids in the system, so we have to watch out for them and voice for them too. So we're asking for transparency. There's investigation. I want internal audit, external audit on LPS, internal audit and external audit on the vendor. Like all that stuff, and got to be transparent. If this vendor is so horrible, which being sued, and like DC fire them, New Jersey, and I'm sure there's more, there's a lot of lawsuit involved with this vendor. Here's the real question. Why are we still keeping them? What is the conflict of interest? What is the conflict of interest? What is in it? Millions and millions of dollars, according to Donna, I watched her last night, millions and millions of dollars has been spent on our kids' food. This is federal funding, and these kids deserve better. We are not the bottom tier. Just because our zip code is 01902 or whatever that is, does not mean that our kids deserve the bottom. They're not bottom feeders, okay? My friends who live in Wilmington get free lunches. Their lunch, what their kids said? They said, Mom, the school lunches taste better than your cooking. That says something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That says something right there. Our kids need to be treated equally. Food inequality is unacceptable. Our
definitely.
Kids need equality.
Yeah, we could have a whole nother conversation about school lunches and school lunch debt. And I know Michelle Obama did something with a few years ago with getting more healthy options in school. Ladies, we coming to an end. We could go on and on for another 20 minutes, but please, once again, let them know the Facebook page, and also if they want any information, if they want to contact you, if any concerned parents want to contact you, please let them know how they can do that.
Okay. Absolutely. Would you like to give the name? Yes. Have any concerns or any food issues or anything like that, CCS, email to Kevin Richardson. CCS, we actually have an email address. It's Lynn, Lynn, Parents Mission Food, correct?
Food Mission.
Food Mission, I'm sorry.
Lynn Parents, see it on the screen.
Lynn Parents Food Mission @gmail.com, please. Thank you so much.
No problem. And remember, once again, next Wednesday, November 3rd at 5 o'clock at Breed, correct?
Yes, correct.
At Breed. All are welcome. There will be a presentation. Parents, concerned parents, you should all show up to that from 5 to 7 p.m. next Wednesday, November 3rd. I want to thank you ladies for coming on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You all have been watching the Lynn Lowdown. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
No. And now time for local events from the community calendar. Next Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m., the Lynn Public Schools will be holding a food presentation from 5 p.m. until 6 p.m. at Breed Middle School. Food presentation will be presented by Revolution Food and Chartwells. This event is free and open to the public. Next Friday, Grace United Methodist Church will be hosting its annual Women's Harvest Fair from 3 p.m. until 7 p.m. Tables featuring jewelry crafts, gifts, white elephants, Winfrey's fudge, and more are some of the items that will be present. This fair is also free and open to the public. Also next Friday from 5 p.m. until 7 p.m., the Salvation Army's Red Kettle Kickoff Karaoke Competition fundraising campaign will take place at their Franklin Street location. The fundraiser helps fund programs and services for the Salvation Army throughout the year. Tuesday is Election Day, and concerned citizens of Lynn will be offering rides to the polls to those who are in need of transportation. For more information, please call 781-864-2596. To find out more about the community calendar, visit lyntv.org. Thank you for watching the LCTV News. Make sure to subscribe to the LCTV Facebook page as well as the LCTV YouTube channel. Also visit lyntv.org to watch any show at any time on your computer, phone, or tablet. I'm Mukala Kabongo. Have a great day.